Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our March Professional Learning Power Hour. Today, we are going to be talking about steps to selecting a partner to support curriculum implementation. So just quickly, for those of you who are first timers to our monthly PL Power Hours, I'm Annie Morrison. I'm one of the co-founders with Rivet Education. And at Rivet, our vision is that every educator receives the best resources and support that they need to provide students with the education that they want and deserve. And we contribute to this vision by defining high quality instruction materials-based professional learning, and helping states and local systems put that definition into practice for educators. We primarily do this work through three main arms of services. First is our consultations. So we work directly with state and local agencies to put together academic strategies to scale the use of high quality instruction materials and curriculum-based professional learning. The second is our connections. So we create tools and resources that build educators' knowledge of what it takes to provide curriculum-based professional learning, and then we connect them also to tools and resources and providers that can help them in that work. So one of our flagship tools is our Professional Learning Partner Guide. That is a vetted list of the best professional learning organizations in the country that provide curriculum-based services. And finally is our check line, which is our tools that help you assess the quality of curriculum implementation and professional learning in your schools and systems. So I'm going to jump right into our time today. So again, today we are looking at what are the steps to selecting the right partner or external professional learning organization to support you in curriculum implementation. So 2 weeks ago, we hosted our first ever virtual vendor fair, which featured over 30 providers that are certified in the Professional Learning Partner Guide. So this vendor fair was an opportunity to allow education leaders across the country get to know the PL providers featured in the PLPG and learn more about their curriculum-based professional learning services that they will be offering for the 2024-25 school year to help you, reduce the amount of time it takes to research these partners and get to know their services. And today's PL Power Hour is a continuation of that vendor fair to help you again, now that you've gotten to know some of those providers in the vendor fair, how do you go about, what are the steps you need to take now to actually select the best partner for you? And this process is not rocket science. It is just 4 steps, but they're 4 very important steps. So the first is just to define your needs. What is it that you need out of your professional learning partner? So looking at the goals for your professional learning plan for next school year. The second is to identify the potential partners that can help you meet those goals. Finally is to, third step is to select the right partner. And then finally, and this is a really important step not to be missed, is the process to onboard your new provider and manage their work. So with the first step for defining your needs, you should, before you even start your search, ask yourself a set of questions of what is it that I really need to be providing in terms of professional learning to both teachers and leaders next year. So there's a set of questions here on the screen that can help you decide what type of curriculum-based professional learning you're needing, whether it's adoption support for next year, if you're going to be reviewing materials and selecting a new curriculum. Is it you've already selected your curriculum this spring and you're going to be launching it and want some support in doing that? Or have you been, have your curriculum for a year or so now, and you're starting to see that maybe implementation isn't going the way that you had hoped. So you're needing that ongoing support and training for teachers or support for your school leaders and helping them to create those systems and structures that really maximize those benefits. So here's kind of a decision tree that you could use to decide what type of curriculum-based professional learning you need. But if you're really needing, you're like, it's not so much, I know the type, but I'm needing to know a little bit more about like where my PL plan is strong and where there's opportunities for improvement, then we recommend that you use Rivet's free professional learning diagnostic. So the URL to that diagnostic is here. So it's just check.riveteducation.org. And then this is a quick, simple diagnostic. It asks you a set of questions that probably takes around 5 to less than 10 minutes to complete. And it's going to provide you with a quick, immediate rating in 6 domains that you see here on the screen. So your use of high quality instruction materials, overall, like, do you have a system in place to provide curriculum-based professional learning? Looking at the types and the variety of curriculum-based PL you're offering, looking at your collaborative planning structures, looking at your coaching structures, and then the extent to which you all are leveraging outside partners to support your PL plan. So I thought for today it might be good to, since I can't, there's so many of you on the call, we can't really like dig into your specific needs. I thought it might be interesting for me to put the hat on of a district that Rivet has been working with recently. And I took the diagnostic. And my results are what you see here on the screen. And so I'm a district using HQIM. We are using CKLA and grades K-5. We've got, we are providing some curriculum-based professional learning. We've done some workshops for our teachers when we launched CKLA. And we do like summer training with them each year. And we also have PLCs. Our teachers participate in a weekly PLC. But looking at this diagnostic, I'm realizing that and I mean, no surprise, I have no structures in place for coaching. We do not have coaching cycles. I don't even have an instructional coach at my school, but I'm wanting to change that next year because I am realizing that my teachers are needing more in the moment support with CKLA. And as a leader of the school, I just can't meet all those needs, right? So the diagnostic is highlighting that is a real need for me. And also what it's also highlighting is that there's not enough internal expertise in my building or schools to support CKLA, and that I really should look into leveraging the expertise of an outside professional learning provider. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick. And what I wanted to do is now that we have a quick assessment of what my PL needs are. So I need some outside help just in general. And I also need some supporting coaching, that ongoing coaching for teachers. I thought it might be interesting to just jump into the professional learning partner guide. And let's take a look at how the tool can help us with step 2, which is identifying the partners that we are best suited to meet my needs. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to jump into the PLPG and take a look at the partners that can support me. Okay. So as the diagnostic showed, I am needing some support with ongoing support for teachers. So I'm going to click that filter. And then I am using CKLA. So I'm going to select CKLA from the drop-down menu. And then also I'm in Louisiana. So I want to filter by my state just to make sure that any of the providers on the list do service or provide services in Louisiana. So within the PLPG, there is 50 vetted providers featured here. But as you saw, I don't know if you noticed, but so when I came to the partner search page, all 50 were listed. As I added my filters, that list reduced now to 11 providers that provide ongoing support on CKLA in Louisiana. So you can see those 11 providers here. So let's just jump in real quick to a couple of these and kind of see what information I can glean from their profile pages here. So from their profile, right away, I can kind of just see a quick overview of who Hill for Literacy is. take a look at their facilitators, where they work, the types of curriculum-based professional learning that they're certified by Rivet to provide, also the curricula that they are also certified to provide. And I can also see that like the types of districts they have experience working with, which is important to me. I'm a small rural district in Louisiana, so it's important to me that they have experience working with smaller rural districts. I can also see here some additional details about their services. So there's a sample scope of work, how they are addressing equity through their services, and how they're building capacity within a district. And then finally, it looks at like what are the structures that they use to provide their PL. So it looks like they use like all four structures: workshops, coaching, PLCs, and consultation. And I can also just like contact them directly from this page, which is really nice. I can just shoot them a quick email here. So that's a quick overview of the type of information I can glean here. So I know after looking at this, like Hill for Literacy is someone that I could consider to help me provide some coaching to my teachers. Let's look at one more here. Let's look at SchoolKit. So again, their profile page is going to show me, again, the types of support that they have, that they can offer, the curricula, the types of schools. Again, they have experience working with small rural districts. One of the things let's jump into is like this sample scopes of work. So let's take a look at that. So I'm looking for ongoing help for teachers. So let's look at that scope of work. So what we do is we have providers complete these sample scopes of work using an actual example of an engagement that they had with a client. So you see here, this is an example of SchoolKit working with a charter school to provide teaching or coaching to teachers. And you can see kind of the cost range for this engagement. And then it asks them specific questions of like, what were the goals of your PL engagement? How did you work with the school or system to determine those goals? And how did you monitor your progress towards those goals throughout the engagement? It also asks like, how was the professional learning customized to meet the district's needs? And this is such an important question because you're bringing in these outside providers for the expertise that they bring to the table, right? So it's important that like you understand that they do know best practice here. So if you're bringing them in to provide coaching support, to train up an instructional coach in your building, you're doing so understanding that they know how to best train coaches and how to best like create a cycle of coaching in your building. But at the same time, it's also important to recognize that there are like unique things about your district or schools that's important for them to both know and potentially adjust their plan for. Examples of this may be that like you all have already worked with Amplify to create a walkthrough tool for CKLA that you want them to use as part of their coaching model. An example of this may be that your student population, you have a large population of multilingual learners, and it is important that the training that they're providing to coaches really equips them to support teachers and using those embedded supports for MLLs in CKLA. So there is a unique context that should be provided to the provider, and they should be adjusting their model, their plan based on those unique needs. So this is trying to get at helping you to understand like how they go about making those adjustments. And then the final question is like, how did you deliver this? Like, what was the like structures that you used to provide this engagement, and how often did like participants participate in this engagement? So you can kind of know the full like scope and sequence. Okay. So that's a little bit about, just looking at a sample scope of work. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. So now that like we've gone through the PLPG, we've looked at a couple client providers. Now you have like a general list. I mean, you potentially have a list of 11, but maybe after you review all of these PL providers, you've narrowed the list, let's say down to like 6 Then what next? What should you be doing next? So we looked through step one, we defined our professional learning needs. Step two, we identified a set of partners that can meet those needs. Now what's next? So step three is, actually, let me share my screen again. We are going to look back and how do we actually narrow it down to now one partner? So there's a couple options you have here, and this is based on your district's context. You can either release an RFP if you are required to do so to procure professional learning services. If you're not, then you can just go straight into like setting up interviews with these final set of like 5 or 6 providers. Regardless of which approach you take here, there are some important questions to ask yourself as you prepare either for these interviews or the RFP. Some of these are like, does this partner's services align with our academic vision and goals? Right? Going into this process, you're going to want to like dig into that to make sure that, again, this is the right partner for you. How is this partner going to help you build capacity to support implementation over time? Again, I'm looking for some coaching help here. So not only do I want this provider to come in and provide coaching right away to my teachers, but I also am going to hire a new instructional coach, and I want them to train that coach so that so with the plan ideal being that next year, this coach is coaching teachers on their own. Exactly how my provider is going to provide coaching to my teachers directly this year. So you want to know like what's that gradual release plan that they're going to build into this contract? Also, you may have other professional learning partners that you are working with. You may have another HQIM in math or science, and you have a provider there. You may have tutoring partners, right? That like it would be important for this provider to, who's helping you with CKLA implementation to be like in conversations with that tutoring partner to see like how their tutoring services can support the literacy work that's happening in classrooms during the school day. And then finally, like, what are those non-negotiables that you want negotiated into your contract? So what are those minimum expectations for the provider and yourself? Like, what are they may also have things that like you need to do as a district leader, like access that they may need to data or to teachers in a way that like ensures the success of their professional learning services. So like making sure that those non-negotiables are in the contract. Okay. So again, regardless of which route you have to take, either releasing an RFP or interviewing potential candidates, like there's just some basic questions you need to ask yourself going into those two processes. And then finally, after you selected your partner, this is one of the most critical steps. And unfortunately, it's a step that all too often is overlooked. And that is like onboarding your vendor and then monitoring their work. So prior to services starting, again, it's so important that you are having a kickoff meeting with them to, again, reconfirm what is your vision when it comes to instruction. So in our case, what do we expect to see when we walk into K-5 ELA and reading classrooms? And making sure that they know what those expectations are and they're aligning their coaching model or services to that. What is some of the language or again tools? We mentioned that observation tool or any other expectations that you have going into services kicking off. How are you going to monitor them? You need to be clear and transparent about that, right? Up front. Same thing with like communications. How often are we going to meet? How am I going to solicit feedback from teachers and leaders on your services? Or how are you going to do that? How are you sharing that data with me? How often are we meeting to review that data, right? Like creating that communications and monitoring plan up front so that everyone is aware of what it is and also sharing that plan with your leaders and teachers so they also know what the plan is for them to provide feedback about this provider services. And then after those services begin, again, making sure that that monitoring and communications plan is in place. You're soliciting that feedback. You yourself are observing classrooms periodically to make sure that the change you're wanting to see in teacher practice is happening. You're also like sitting in on some of those PLCs, looking at that student work with your teachers to see if that change in that intended change in student learning is also starting to change as a result of this provider working with your teachers more in depth. Okay. So that's the process. Like I said at the beginning of today's call, it's not rocket science. It's 4 simple steps. Define your needs, identify partners who can meet those needs, select the right partner for you, and then onboard and manage them. But it is an important process. And we have several tools that can help you. And so one is the one I mentioned right out at the top of our call today, which is our professional learning diagnostic. Again, this is a free and quick assessment of your professional learning plan and system. It should take you around 5 minutes to take. It provides an immediate rating across those 6 domains of red, yellow, green. And then you can also have a question level report and rating emailed to you if you provide your email address. The second is the professional learning partner guide. Again, this is a helpful in step 2, helping you narrow down your choices for a PL provider. And then the last 2 will help you to like make your final selection. So we have a guide to writing effective RFPs for curriculum-based professional learning that's linked here. It's a guide to like walk you through the RFP process and also has a template for curriculum-based PL services RFPs. So I encourage you to take a look at that if you have to do an RFP to procure PL services. And then the final is our professional learning partner guidebook. So it starts off like, again, walking through the 4 steps we talked through today in depth, but it also includes an interview guide in there. So regardless of the type of curriculum-based PL you're looking for, if you're looking for an adoption partner or someone to help you launch a new curriculum, someone to provide this ongoing support for teachers that we've been talking about today, or someone to help your leaders create those systems and structures to maximize your curriculum, regardless of the type of provide like PL services you're looking to hire for, there's a set of questions that you can use to interview those providers and narrow your search. And then it also includes just like an overall more in-depth guide to managing your PL provider. So we talked a little bit about this in step 4 today, but the last half of this guidebook provides more in-depth support there as well. And as always, if you guys have just like specific questions for us, if you're like, yes, all these tools and resources are great, but can we just like jump on the phone and have a conversation? Give us a call. I'm sharing our director of products email here, Jennifer Wells. She would be happy to talk to you. Also, you can just send any general inquiries to us at info@riveteducation.org. But we look forward to hearing from you if you are needing support. And again, we just hope today's PL Power Hour has been helpful to you as you navigate the curriculum implementation journey and find a partner to support you in that work. So thank you everyone so much for your time today and have a great week. Bye-bye.